Okay, so thank you all for coming this morning. Thank you, everybody here on Zoom and everybody on YouTube. So we're going to continue our Ngöndro practice today for Buddha Practice Study 201, being able to engage with the practice. So we'll begin by doing our three prostrations in front of our altar. So if you have one, that's great. If not, it's okay. But imagine that you do. And so we'll do our three prostrations. Om, ah, om. Om, ah, om, om, ah, om. Buddha Dharma Sangha. Om, ah. Om, ah, om. Buddha Dharma Sangha. Om, ah. So it would be good if you have your lineage tree, if that's in front of you as part of your altar. If that's the only thing that is on your altar, that's okay. But if you can do an altar that has offering bowls, if you can have water, if you can have flowers, if you can have incense, candle, something food. Those are all good things to have to set our mindfulness. So what we're trying to do is to set our mindfulness for our practice, leaving all the other mundane things outside the door, so to speak, and we're creating this Buddha field in front of ourselves, in the midst of ourselves. So we begin on page 1, the introduction, and we're talking about the Buddha Practice Study, Uncommon Preliminary Practices. So the refuge practice. So we read together out loud. For the benefit of all sentient beings, the most gracious Buddha Shakyamuni spoke the Dharma through the sutras and tantras. The 5 profound paths of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa are the essence of the Buddha's teachings, which enable one to attain enlightenment in one lifetime. However, to practice the path of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa, one must be fully convinced of the 4 ways of turning the mind, or the 4 ordinary foundations. The 4 ways of turning the mind are the basis for the successful practice of any of the yanas. Then one practices the 4 extraordinary foundations, or the Vajrayana Ngöndro, to purify the negative karma and obscurations of the mind, peace in body, and to develop virtues. The great 12th century Tibetan saint, Lord Jigten Sumgun, the second Nagarjuna, said, the Ngöndro is even more important than the higher practices. One must truly understand and practice the simple yet profound foundational teachings before one begins the higher teachings. Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, and we continue with the altruistic motivation. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang war je pe dra no pa je pe ge. Pa pa dang tam she ken pe ba du jo pa je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dug now dang drel nor du la na me pa yang dag pa zog pe zhang ju brin po she to pa ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Te she du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Du te ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teachings, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Nam ke ta dam yam pe sem chen tam she chok shu du som gi. De shin sek pa tam she ki ku song tong yon chen le. Tam she gi no war jur pa. Joki pam po ton chaka chu ta chi jong ne. Pa pe ge dun tam she gi nada. Dren san sa wa danger pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kab su chi o. Ye dam kil gorgi la sok nam la kab su chi o. Sangye chom den de nam la kab su chi o. Dam pe cho nam la kab su chi o. Pa pe ge du nam la kab su chi o. Pa wo ka dro cho kyong song me song ye she gi chang dang dem ba nam la kab su chi o. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangzhu Ning Po Chi Ki Bar Sangye Nam La Kapsu Chi Chodang Shangshu Senpai So Klang De Shin Kapsu Chi Jitar Nonggi De Shegi Shangshu Tugni Ke Padang Shangshu Sempe La Pala De Dagrim Shin E Patar De Shindro La Pandandu Shangshu Samni Ke Gishing De Shindu Ni La Pala De Dagrim Shin E Patar De Shindu Ni La Pala Rimpa Shindu La Pajio. Excuse me if I messed that up. The short refuge prayer. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonam La Shangshu Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Jin Soki Pe Sonamgi Jola Penshir Sangye Jupasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pesam chantam she de wadang de we godang dempa churchi. Dug now dang donal ki gudang trawa churchi. Dug now me pe de wadang midra wa churchi. Nei ring chak dang ni dang trawe dang namla ne pa churchi. Seven-limb prayer. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Chaksa wadang cho ching sa padang, Jesu yi rang kol sing so wa yi. Gewa jung se da gi ji sak pa, tam she zok pe shang zhub chir no. 4 ways of turning the mind. First, oh, this kind of leisure and endowment is supremely difficult to obtain. When we obtain this body, which is easily lost, do not waste it meaninglessly, but rather use it to attain the ultimate liberation, joyous result. Contemplate on precious human life as the first of the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. Okay. Second, the nature of all phenomena is impermanence. Death is a certainty to all who are born. Death can descend any time, like a drop of morning dew on a blade of grass. Quick, it is time to make effort for the essence of the Dharma. Contemplate the meaning of impermanence. Next is the third of the four thoughts. The fruit of one's positive karma is happiness. Suffering is the fruit of negative karma. The inexorable karmic causation is the mode of abiding of all dharmas. Henceforth, practice the dharma by distinguishing between what should be practiced and what should be given up. Contemplate karma, cause and result. The fourth of the four thoughts. In the three lower realms, and even in the three higher ones, there is not an instant of absolute happiness. I will avoid the root cause of my samsaric existence and practice the excellent path of peace to enlightenment. Contemplate the suffering of samsara, the faults of samsara. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Okay, breathe normal. Next is page 16, and we visualize the Vajra fence, the protection fence. 30 dakinis standing shoulder to shoulder in a circle facing the heart center, protecting the heart center from any negativities, confusions, etc. And we list the names of the 30 dakinis. Om, I, U, Ri, Li, O, Ung, A, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Ka, Saha, Kriya, Soha. Om, I, U, Ri, Li, O, Ung, A, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Saha, Kriya, Soha. Om, I, U, Ri, O, Ung, A, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Ka, Saha, Kriya, Soha. The mantra of interdependent origination on page 16 and page 17. In Sanskrit, Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takansa Yodharada Evam Mahashamani Soha. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. The cessation, too, has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shramaniye. Soha, so be it. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Hail Watatata Takansa Yonarada Evam Mahashamani Soha. Next, page 18 and 19. Om Bajra Sattva Samaya, help to protect my vow, to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus, I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuru Hum. Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha. Om Bajra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Sattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara karma sitsame, sitsan shriya kuru hung. Ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Saratada gata bajra mame mansa bajri bhava mahasamaya satvaha. Om Bajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Sattva Tanopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuru Hung. Ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha. Om Sambar Sambar Bhimanasar Mahazamba Hung. 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 Arising from a defiled mind, be reborn into great wisdom. Om Smar Smar Bhimanaskar Mahazamba Hung Pe. 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 Om Smar Smar Bhimanaskar Ma Zamba Hong Pe, arising from defiled lives, remember and purify the flower of wisdom. Om Sambar Sambar Mahazambu Hung Pe. 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 Arising great holy wisdom, purify this life. Om Richi Ramana Prarataya Hong Pe. 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 The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the precious Dharma protectors, whose mirror-like wisdom is the joy, is the door to purification. Om Re Pamanurti Shvari Hung. 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 The body, speech, and mind of pure love is ultimate wisdom. Om ah hong 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 om ah Om ah hong 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 om ah Om ah hong 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 om ah Uma, 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 Any comments or questions? Okay, I'm just getting the lineage tree set up here on my screen. Okay. Want everybody to be able to see the lineage tree, so hopefully you've got this in front of you, either here on your screen or you have the actual picture that you have on your altar in front of you. Any comments or questions? Now's the time. Okay. So we begin on page 24, the benefits of taking refuge. If the merit of taking refuge in the triple gem could manifest in form, the whole universe could not contain it. Even though attempting to describe the infinite benefits of practicing refuge is like attempting to empty the ocean with a teaspoon, there are 8 benefits as explained in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation. One becomes a Buddhist. It becomes the basis of all the precepts and vows. It exhausts all previous non-virtuous deeds. It protects one from obstacles created by humans and non-human. One accomplishes all one wishes. One gathers a great amount of merit. One will not fall into the lower realms. One attains Buddhahood swiftly. Regular practice is the essence, refuge practice is the essence of all other practices. Therefore, one always should emphasize this practice. It has inconceivable beneficial effects. Through this practice, one can achieve the fearless state. Take a moment with one pointed mind, take refuge in the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Okay, now we begin the practice. 25. Meditate the surroundings as inseparable from a Buddha field. In the space in front of me is a lion throne in which are a lotus, sun, and moon disk seat, in the center of which sits the kind root Lama in the form of Vajradhara with the 7 characteristics. Blue in color, 2 arms, holding a vase, a vajra, and a bell, crossed at the heart and gracefully sitting in the vajra position. adorned by the silken robes and various precious jewel ornaments, and surrounded by all the lineage lamas. In front of the lion throne is the Yidam Chakrasamvara, the male and female aspects in union, whose manifestation is simultaneously appearance and emptiness. At the right side of the throne is the assembly of the Buddhas of the three times, possessing the auspicious signs of all Buddhas together, with 1,000 Buddhas in this fortunate kalpa. Behind the throne is the Prajnaparamita, proclaiming the relative and ultimate meaning of the three yanas. To the left of the throne is the assembly of the compassionate bodhisattvas, surrounded by the Sangha of the three yanas. Around the base of the throne are the Dharmapalas, an ocean of guardians gathered like clouds. And we recite the refuge prayer. Buddhas, Dharmas, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of suffering of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is obtained. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Sangye chosok yidam chokyong che, kyab chok nam la dak sok jowakun, si pe jik sok nam na le kyob chir, chang chu ma to bardu kyab su chi. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. Drokun de den dugnal drawadan, nor du la me topar da gyawe. De chir den ne changshu ma tobar. Ne pe don chok lam la jok pasha. Now we recite the long refuge prayer 3 times in English, then 3 times in Tibet, and then we begin to do the prostrations while we recite the long mantra, the long refuge prayer. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan Lama Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio. Yidam Kil Gorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio. Sangye Chom Dende Namla Kapsu Chio. Dampe Cho Namla Kapsu Chio. Pape ge dunam la kapsu chio. Pawo kadro cho kyong song me song yeshe gi chang dang dempa nam la kapsu chio. Transcend sawa danger parje pe pal dan la ma dampa nam la kapsu chio. Yidam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge dun nam la kapsu chio. Pawo kadro cho kyong song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Transcend sa wa danger pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kapsu chio. Yidam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge dun nam la kapsu chio. Pawo kadro cho kyong song me song yeshe gi cheng dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. So now we do the prostrations while we recite the mantra, while we recite the prayer. Just let me. Oops. Sorry. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kapsu Chio. Sangye Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio. Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pawo Kadro Churkyo Me Song Yeshe Gi Cheng Deng Dem Pa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kapsu Chio. Sangye Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio. Dampe Cho Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pape Ge Du Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pawo Kadro Churkyo Me Song Yeshe Gi Cheng Deng Dem Pa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kapsu Chio. Sangye Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio. Dampe Cho Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pape Ge Du Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pawo Kadro Churkyo Me Song Yeshe Gi Cheng Deng Dem Pa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Transcend Sawa Dangur Parje Pe Pal Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kapsu Chio. Sangye Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio. Tempe Cho Nam La Kapsu Chio. Tepe Ge Du Nam La Kapsu Chio. Pawo Kadro Churkyo Me Song Yeshe Gi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chuzan Za Wat Dan Grupa. Pepe Pao Dan Lama. Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yitam Kyo Gorgila. Sang Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Dan Pe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Woga Zercher Go Me. Chunga Shegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. We take refuge in the kind lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the Mandala City House. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Bhagavas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the Mandala City House. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Bhagavas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the Mandalas of the Yidam. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Bhagavas, Dakinis, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities, the Mandalas of the Yidam. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Bhagavas, Dakinis, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Shong Yesegi. Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo. Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Song Yeshegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Song Yeshegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Shong Yeshegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Shong Yeshegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Tempe Chom Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pepe Ge Du Nam La Kap Su Chio. Pawoka Jojo Kyo Me Shong Yeshegi Cheng Teng Tempa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Chunsen Sawa Dan Gurpo Jepe Pao Dan Lama Dampa Nam La Kap Su Chio. Yidam Kyo Gorgi La So Nam La Kap Su Chio. Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kap Su Chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio, pepe ke du nam la kapsu chio. Pa woka jojo kyo me shung yashe gi jing den damba nam la kapsu chio. Jun sen sa wa denger ba je be bao dan la ma dam ba nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sange chum den den nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pepe do nam la kapsu chio, pa woka jochu kyo me shong ya sheki cheng ten ten pa nam la kapsu chio, jun san zo wa denger pa jui bei ba dan la ma dan pa nam la kapsu chio, ye dam kyo gor gi la so nam la kapsu chio, san ge chom ten ten nam la kapsu chio. Dam pejo nam la kapsu chio, pepe ge do nam la kapsu chio, pa woka jochu kyo me shong ya sheki cheng ten ten pa nam la kapsu chio. Jun san sa wa denger ba je pe pa dan la ma dan pa nam la kapsu chio, ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kapsu chio, san ge chom den den nam la kapsu chio. Den pe chom nam la kapsu chio, pa pe ge do nam la kapsu chio. Pa woka joju kyo me shung ya she gi jing den den pa nam la kapsu chio. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lama together with the kind root and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Chun san so wa denger ba je bei ba dan la ma dan pa nam la kapsu chio, yidam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kapsu chio, sange chom den de nam la kapsu chio. Den pecho nam la kapsu chio, pa pege du nam la kapsu chio, pa woka chochu kyo me shung yashegi cheng den dan pa nam la kapsu chio. Okay. Everybody can return to your seat. So I'm going to recite to you the meaning of the prostrations. This was taught to us several years ago by Drupal Tinley Ningpo. So visualize as I recite this, I'll go slowly, and visualize you're doing the prostrations. So it begins, Chagsal, I make these offerings of prostrations and mantra recitations to purify my body, speech, and mind, and to purify my mind by developing the three faiths, the trusting faith, the longing faith, the clear faith in the three jewels. So at this point, we are standing in front of the lineage tree, and this is our position. Chagsal means I take these prostrations, I make these prostrations and mantra recitations Chagsal, that's the first two words that mean all of that. Then I stand facing north in front of the lineage tree. All peaceful deities are facing the tree, offering their many blessings. So along with me, all peaceful deities are facing the lineage tree, facing in the north direction. Then all wrathful deities are facing the outside of the tree to protect against demons, maras, obstacles, and obstructions. So we visualize that standing with us, facing the outside of the tree, are the wrathful deities, the Yidam deities, the tutelary deities, are facing outward to protect against the demons, maras, obstacles, and obstructions. And their work is to overcome them, to be able to calm them down, to be able to purify them, to pacify them. So the peaceful deities are facing the tree. The wrathful deities are facing outside of the tree to help all beings to not interfere. On my right side, as I stand facing the tree, on my right side is the Father, my Father, whose cause is the origin of being. To the Father, I offer gratitude. I'll repeat that. On my right side is the Father, whose cause is the origin of my being. To the Father, I offer gratitude. On my left side is the Mother, whose love is immeasurable, offering her kindness invitation. To the Mother, I offer loving kindness and compassion. I'll repeat that. On my left side is the Mother, whose love is immeasurable, offering her kindness invitation. To the Mother, I offer loving kindness and compassion. In front of me are all my enemies, the lower realm beings, the animal beings, the hungry ghost beings, the hell beings, all giving cause to generate patience and practice tolerance. In front of me are all my enemies, the lower realm beings, giving cause to generate patience and practicing tolerance. So all those difficult beings that are in front of me, giving me cause to practice the Ngöndro. Behind me are all sentient beings, the higher realm beings, giving cause to be mindful of the lineage tree and the Mahamudra, clarity, emptiness, and unimpededness. Behind me are all sentient beings, the higher realm beings, giving cause to be mindful of the lineage tree and the Mahamudra, clarity, emptiness, and unimpededness. So we're still standing in front of the tree. From my forehead emerges a white fire to purify my past misdeeds and defilements, searing away all the negative karma and blockages of the body in order to give opportunity to manifest the 32 major and minor marks, 32 major and 80 minor marks of the Buddha for the benefit of the enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I sow the seeds of the Nirmanakaya, the emanation body of the Buddha Shakyamuni. I'll repeat that. From my forehead emerges a white fire to purify all my past misdeeds and defilements, searing away all the negative karma and blockages of the body in order to give opportunity to manifest the 32 major and 80 minor marks of the Buddha for the benefit of the enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I sow the seeds of the Nirmanakaya, the emanation body of the Buddha Shakyamuni. Now, from my throat emerges a red fire to purify my speech and actions, to enhance language and accumulate the 60 melodious voices for the benefit of enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I blossom as the flower of the Sambhogagaya, the subtle enjoyment body of the Buddha Varanchana, the 5 Buddha families. I'll repeat that. From my throat emerges a red fire to purify my speech and actions, to enhance language and accumulate the 60 melodious voices for the benefit of enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I blossom as the flower of the Sambhogagaya, the subtle enjoyment body of the Buddha Varanchana, of the 5 Buddha families. So now from my heart emerges a blue fire to purify my mind, to enable and develop ultimate wisdom for the benefit of enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I bear the fruit of the Dharmakaya, the truth body of the primordial Buddha, Vajradhara Samantabhadra. I'll repeat that again. From my heart emerges a blue fire to purify my mind, to enable and develop ultimate wisdom for the benefit of enlightenment of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. I bear the fruit of the Dharmakaya, the truth body of the primordial Buddha, Vajradhara Samantabhadra. So as we have been standing in front of the tree, and we bring our hands to our crown, to our throat, and to our heart, we're visualizing these 3 fires, the white fire from the forehead, from the crown, the red fire from the throat, the speech, and from the heart is the blue fire emanating to purify our mind. So it's the Nirmanakaya, the Sambhogakaya, and the Dharmakaya. So now we begin to do the prostration. The 5 points to the ground purify the 5 poisons and develop the 5 wisdoms. So my left hand on the ground is knowledge and fulfills the wishes of all sentient beings to be as a Buddha and practice the 4 great deeds of generosity, melodious voice, implementing the teachings, and living life as a practice in order to attract many disciples. So the left hand on the ground is knowledge and fulfills the wishes of all sentient beings to be as the Buddha and practice the 4 great deeds of generosity, melodious voice, implementing the teachings, and living life as a practice in order to attract many disciples. The right hand on the ground is protection and suppresses the 1 million Maras before enlightenment, the Mara of delusion, the Mara of contamination, the Mara of controlling others, and the Mara of being controlled at the time of death. So the right hand on the ground is protection, suppresses the 1 million Maras before enlightenment, the Mara of delusion, the Mara of contamination, the Mara of controlling others, and the Mara of being controlled at the time of death. So the left knee on the ground accumulates the 37 practices or the 37 characteristics of the enlightened being, which include the Eightfold Path, right view, right protection, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right absorption. And also the left knee on the ground accumulates the 7 bhumis of the bodhisattvas: great joy, stainless, radiant, luminous, very difficult to train in, obviously transcendent, gone afar, immovable, good discriminating wisdom, cloud of Dharma. All this, altogether, is the path that leads to Buddhahood. The left knee on the ground, and includes the 8 great bodhisattvas: Kasiti Garbha, Maitreya, Akasa Garbha, Samantabhadra, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, Sarvanavarana Vishkabin. That's all the left knee on the ground. The right knee on the ground protects against the sufferings of the 6 realms of samsara, the all-pervading suffering of composite phenomena, the suffering of change, the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death, desire of the human realm, ignorance of the animal realm, greed of the hungry ghost realm, anger of the hell realms, conflict and jealousy of the demigod realm, and pride and arrogance of the deva realm. All this right knee on the ground. Then I lie flat, touching my forehead to the ground, in order to manifest the 32 major marks of the Buddha. The ulna symbolizes the wisdom eye at the forehead. The ulna is the little hair in between the eyes, right above the nose, is called the ulna, and symbolizes the wisdom eye at the forehead. And the usnisha is the top knot, is the protrusion at the top of the head that symbolizes the power of Dharma teachings. So as we lie flat, and the 5-pointed prostration, our hands, our knees are all on the ground. Our forehead touching the ground now is visualizing the 32 major marks of the Buddha. The ulna, the wisdom eye, and the usnisha is the power of the Dharma teachings. And we're gathering those blessings by bringing those blessings into the crown of our head. Then we stand straight again. And standing straight arises the joyous nature of compassion and union of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara in enlightenment. So standing straight arises the joyous nature of compassion and union of all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara in enlightenment. I stand as the lineage tree. So we complete the prostration and we're standing, and I become the lineage tree. All merit to Dorje Chang, Vajradhara, the Lama at the center of the tree, the great root Lama at the center of the tree. All merit to Dorje Chang. And then all merit from the root Lama to you. So all the merit from Vajradhara then, Dorje Chang, from that heart, from his heart, comes into our heart, directly into our heart. All merit from the root Lama to you. Then all sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama, embodiment of the body, speech, and mind, qualities and activities of the Buddhas of the 3 times and the 10 directions, source of the 84,000 categories of the teachings and Lord of the Sanghas, until enlightenment is reached by myself and all sentient beings who have been my mother, equal in extent to space. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lama, together with the kind root and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities, to the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. So that's the meaning of the prostration, the meaning of the five-pointed prostration. So I'll send this to you so you can read it yourself. You can print it if you want. Next time I send out a mailing, I will include this in a printed form, but you can look at it now. But the point of my telling you this now is to say that these prostrations are just not empty physical exercises. They're full of meaning, and that we are exchanging ourselves through that meaning, through the prostration, with the lineage tree. And we're receiving the blessings from the lineage tree back into ourselves through these prostrations. So in the beginning, it seems very mechanical. It's very physical. But as we engage with this more and more, as we begin to accumulate 10,000 prostrations, 20,000 prostrations, 30,000 prostrations, over time, we begin to really feel that exchange of blessing that is happening. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this?
Can you just say again what you were saying? So, do the prostrations exchanging ourselves with the lineage tree? Is that how you put it?
Yeah, well, that we are, yes, that we are,
Becoming the lineage tree?
it's like we are surrendering ourselves
Mm,
through this purification, through this practice, to become the lineage tree.
mm,
And the purer we become, the more the lineage tree we become. We recognize, that we are the same as all those lineage lamas and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and the Prajnaparamita of the tree. We recognize that within ourselves.
mm. Yeah, I think for me at least, what I've been thinking about some with it is, or I think can be difficult, is keeping a sense of like earnestness or something like that. I don't know if that's the right word, where yeah, feels meaningful or feels, I don't know, has like some juice to it or something. It doesn't become kind of like a rote type of thing. But also to your point, I've noticed in just like in one session, if I'm doing a good amount, say I'm doing 100 of them or 50 or something, that after a period of time, that starts to come up a little bit more. Actually, sometimes I'll try to reset it a bit, but just do the almost like the rhythm really of just doing it, doing it, doing it.
Right. So I'll send you this, what I did here. I when I was doing the Ngöndro, I had memorized this whole thing. And so it was part, I would be doing the prostrations and I would recite the long refuge prayer. But then I also would recite this, what I just read to you, in order to stabilize what the meaning of the prostration was in my mind. And that really, really, was really intensified the whole process because now I knew why I was doing the prostration, the meaning of the prostration. So that goes to your point, what you just said about, that right now it just seems kind of mechanical. And sometimes you have a feeling that there's a connection. And this helps us to recognize that connection, what that connection is. So this is a hardship. Doing the prostrations is not easy. The Ngöndro was created by the masters. It's I was told it was created by Atisha, Lord Atisha, 1,000 years ago, in order that ordinary beings like us could have a hardship to be able to break through our ego. It says, oh, you don't need to do this. You don't need to. Why are you doing this? Your ego doesn't want to do this. You know, to break through the ego in order to become one of these the beings on the spiritual tree, on the lineage tree, to become pure spirit, which has no ego. So this is a creation of hardship for us to be able to do that.
I don't know. I do wonder. Maybe this is just me being lazy, and I think we might have touched on these kind of things or a lazy kind of feeling, but it does like the numbers of the accumulations, like they feel like they're geared towards like monastics. Like to me, like 50,000 prostrations of a layperson who's working 10 hours a day seems like more of a dedication and hardship than someone who is a monastic who would do 200,000 or like 100,000 prostrations or something. I don't know, but maybe that's just me like being like, oh, it's going to take so long to get all of these things. So I don't know, but that is the thought I've had.
Well, of course, that's a natural thought, but it's also the challenge, and you're not going to do it in a year's time. You're not going to do it in 2 years' time, but you might do it in 3 years' time. And the point is to engage in it, and you'll gain benefit from it by doing whatever you can, whether it's 50 a day or 100 a day. But you will see that there is a process that begins to work, whether you're a monastic or not. Um, so that's the challenge, and you have the support of others who have done this to be able to remind you that this is possible. So yes, it would be nice to be able to do it as a monastic, but we're not monastics, but we can still receive benefit from it by doing what we can as we can to accept the challenge and to persevere through that. So in other words, I'm not letting you off the hook completely. And so many people that I've talked to over the years, it starts exactly, we're doing 20 at a time, and then we do that for a few months, and I say, oh, well, maybe I can do 50. And I do 50, and then, oh, well, maybe I can do a whole hour. I can spend more time doing this whole practice, and the practice grows on its own because you want it to. You see the benefit, and you begin to find clarity of how you can make time to do this. You begin to see how we obscurate, we create the blockages ourselves. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm working 10 hours a day. I'm not trying to grind you, but you know but I totally understand. Anybody else have a comment? Okay. Well, then why don't we take a break and come back at 10 minutes to 11, and we'll do more prostrations. We'll do another 20 or so prostrations, and then we'll do a meditation and continue on. Okay? All right. Thank you all for returning, coming back. I put the text of the explanations in the chat here in the Zoom, and I also put it into our WhatsApp. So there's two versions of it. There's a version 2 and a version 3. The version 2 was the original one that I printed from, and the text is vertical. In version 3, I turned it around so it's horizontal so you could read it on your screen better. The pages may not be right in order, but they are. The pages were made so that you can flip them around, so they may not seem in order for you, but that's the reason. But the pages are numbered so you can figure them out. So if you print that, that would be great. And like I said, I'll send it to you again. Another thing I will say is that if you're going to be doing the prostrations, if you're going to be doing this practice at home and so on, the thing that really tires you out more than anything is the heat that builds up in your body. So if you're wearing, just a t-shirt and just some shorts or something like that, it's perfectly fine. But if you're wearing a lot of clothing and everything, it's going to restrict your movement, but it's also going to build up the heat in your body. And you can take breaks, so if you do 20 prostrations and you need to take a break, collect your breath, you come back and do a few more and so on like that. So, but if you take your time, just use common sense, don't hurt yourself. You'll be able to build the strength and the stamina and the will to want to do this. Any comments or questions? Okay. All right. Well, then we go back to page 28 and 29, and we recite the refuge prayer and the bodhicitta. So on page 28, it says it's the refuge prayer, but then the one on page 29 is really a bodhicitta prayer. So whenever we do our practices and so on, we should always take refuge, and we should always do a prayer, the remembrance of the bodhicitta. So okay, so we'll begin this by reciting the refuge of both of these prayers, each individually, twice in English, once in Tibet. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of suffering of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Sangye chosok yidam chokyong che, kyab chok nam la dak sok jwa kun. Si pe jik sok nam na le kyob chir, chang shu ma to badu kyab su chi o. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow in the path to the ultimate goal. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow in the path to the ultimate goal. Drokunde den dugnal drawadan, nor du la me topar dagyawe. De chir deng ne chang shu ma tobar, ne pe dong chog lam la chog pa ja. Now the long refuge prayer. Do it twice in English, once in Tibet, and then we'll begin to do the prostrations. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcends Awadangur Parje Pe Paldan Lama Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Namla Kapsu Chio Dampe Cho Namla Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Pawo Kadro Cho Kyong Song Me Song Yeshe Gi Cheng Dang Dempa Nam La Kapsu Chio. Junsan Sa Wadan Gurpa J.P. Paldan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgor Gila Sugnam La Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Woka Jurchu Kameshon Yeshe Gicheng Dendem Nam La Kapsu Chio Trinsan Sa Wadan Gurpa J.P. Paldan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgor Gila Sugnam La Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Woka Jurchu Kameshon Yeshe Gicheng Dendem Nam La Kapsu Chio Trinsan Sa Wadan Gurpa J.P. Paldan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgor Gila Sugnam La Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Woka Jurchu Kameshon Yeshe Gi Cheng Dendem Nam La Kapsu Chio Trinsan Sa Wadan Gurpa J.P. Paldan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgor Gila Sugnam La Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Woka Jurchu Kameshon Yeshe Gi Cheng Dendem Nam La Kapsu Chio Trinsan Sa Wadan Gurpa J.P. Paldan Lama Dampa Nam La Kapsu Chio Yidam Kilgor Gila Sugnam La Kapsu Chio Sange Chom Dende Nam La Kapsu Chio Dampe Chom Nam La Kapsu Chio Papege Dunam La Kapsu Chio Woka Jurchu Kameshon Yeshe Gi Cheng Dendem Nam La Kapsu Chio. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lama, together with the kind root and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of Ngöndro. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root living souls. We take refuge in the deities and the mentalities of the healers. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Bhagavas, Dakinis, and Dharmaganis, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root living souls. We take refuge in the deities and the mentalities of the healers. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharmaganis, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Junsenzo Wadden Gurpo, Tepe Padan Lama, Dampa Namla Kapsuchia, Yudam Kyoko Gila Sognam La Kapsuchia, Sange Chom Dending Namla Kapsuchia, Tempecho Namla Kapsuchia, Pepeke Dunam La Kapsuchia, Bawoka Jo Chukame, Shunga Shaki Chang Dendam Panam La Kapsuchia, Junsenzo Wadden Gurpo, Tepe Padan Lama. Dampanam la kapsuchia. Yudam Kyoko Gila Sognam la Kapsuchia. Sange Chom Dending Nam la Kapsuchia. Tempecho Nam la Kapsuchia. Pepeke Dunam la Kapsuchia. Bawoka Jo Chukome. Shunya Shaki Cheng Dendam Panam la Kapsuchia. Junsenza Wadan Gurpai. Jepe Padan Lama. Dampanam la Kapsuchia. Yudam Kyoko Gila Sognam la Kapsuchia. Sange Chom Dendeng Nam la Kapsuchia. Tempecho Nam la Kapsuchia. Pepeke Du Nam la Kapsuchia. Bawoka Jo Chukome. Sunya Sheki Jeng Dendempa Nam la Kapsuchia. Junsenza Waden Gurpo. Jepe Palden Lama Dampa Nam la Kapsuchia. Yudam Kyoko Gila Sognam la Kapsuchia. Sange Chom Dendeng Nam la Kapsuchia. Tempecho Nam la Kapsuchia. Pepeke Du Nam la Kapsuchia. Bawoka Jo Chukyo Me Shungya Shegi Jeng Deng Dampa Nam la Kapsuchia. All right, you may take your seats. Maintain your mindfulness. The note at the bottom of page 31 says, recite the refuge prayer as many times as possible. Meditate that the refuge visualization dissolves into oneself and oneself dissolves into emptiness. Rest in the natural state. So we recite page 32. The objects of refuge dissolve into the main figure, and he dissolves into your crown. In Tibet, Jab yor kornam so wodang, deyang wodu serne rang la tempa gyor. And we'll do a 20-minute meditation. So if you'd like, during this time of meditation, you can go back and read to remind yourself of the process of the prostrations. of the visualization. You can open up the attachments that I sent in the chat and in the WhatsApp to read the meaning of the prostrations, where you can rest and visualize you're becoming one with the lineage tree and dissolve into emptiness. The mind wanders, just bring it back to any of the suggestions. If you prefer, you can watch your breath. Breathe in and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Relax and breathe normal, but you can watch the breath as well. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Stay relaxed, breathe normal, open your eyes. From the page 33, we visualize the protection circle, the Vajra fence, the Dakini standing, facing outwards in a circle, shoulder to shoulder. We recite the syllable mantra, the alphabet mantra. Om, a, I, o, ribi, lili, o, ung, a, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, tada, dadana, tada, dadana, baba, babama, yavalawa, saha, krasa, soha. Oma, I, o, ribi, lili, o, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, dada, dadana, dada, dadana, papa, babama, yavalawa, saha, krasa, soha. Oma, I, o, ribi, lili, o, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, dada, dadana, dada, dadana, papa, babama, yavalawa, kaha, kriya, soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takansa Yonarada Evamwadi Mahashamani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takansa Yonarada Evamwadi Mahashamani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takansa Yonarada Evamwadi Mahashamani Soha. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. Their cessation too has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shamaniye Soha. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tanopa Justadreto Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Satwa Teno Pa Justadredo Me Bawa Suto Kayo Me Bawa Supo Kayo Me Bawa Anu Raktu Me Bawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuruhung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Satwa Teno Pa Justadredo Me Bawa Suto Kayo Me Bawa Supo Kayo Me Bawa Anu Raktu Me Bawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Bajra Sattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you, Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Oh, Teata, Pensa Driva, Avo Bodhanaya Soha, 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 Teata Pensa Driva Avo Bodhanaya Soha. This is it. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are the five families and the three times who have destroyed all defilements, lead to equipoise of the enlightened mind. Om Ru Ru Da Ru Muki Muki Soha. 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 The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the peaceful and wrathful deities is the Buddha. Om Dai Dai Bendai Soha. 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 The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha is the cause for enlightenment of all sentient beings. Om Hanu Basha Bara Hridaya Soha. 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 The bliss and strength and the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. Om Ah Hong 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 Om Ah Om Ah Hong 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 Omo Aho. Italics at the bottom of page 36. Visualize with faith the root Lama is present in the sky in front, surrounded by the assemblies of Yidam deities and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Take a moment for the visualization. Okay. Any comments or questions? How do you feel?
Great, a little stiff.
Good. Is the practice coming a little bit easier to you? Are you beginning to, recall, the sequence and starting to, feel a little bit better about it? Comes more effortlessly. Okay. And we do the dedications on page 37 and so on. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmajupa, and Lord Drikung. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra realize the ultimate state, Buddhahood, I will follow in their path and share the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikung Kagyu Sri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious kind root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate word of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream, may I gain supreme attainment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. And through that, may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Very good. Thank you. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you. I heard some good news the other day that Drikung Kagyu, our lineage, has purchased something like 60 acres of mountain acreage in north of Asheville, North Carolina, up in the mountains. And the intention is that for the next generation of monastics, as well as lay people, to have a place to come and do mountain retreat. So I imagine that they will be building, hermitage cabins or whatever, and maybe there's caves up there. I don't know. I just heard about this. So I think it's really great because what it means is that it's another step of the Eastern monastics coming together with the Western people and having a place of hermitage where our lineage can go and practice and do long retreat and so on. So it's really that's very, very good.
That's really great. That's cool.
And I know that they're doing work, in the Fairfax area, that the Tibetan people are doing things, for their children, teaching them culture, teaching them dance, and teaching them language, as well as teaching them Dharma and so on. So that's really important. When they were young kids, we were doing a Dharma Surya, but now those young kids have grown up to be in their teen years, and it's a little harder to corral them. But nevertheless, the Tibetan people are coming together because their generation, that generation who now is 30, 40, 50 years old, who escaped Tibet, didn't have the benefit of growing up in that culture and getting the Dharma teachings at that time. So they're, so the message has been going, to help and be able to give it to their children, that their children do not fall into, not having that spirituality, not having the culture. So they're working hard at making that happen. So that's really great. And, for us Westerners, to be able to assimilate into that as much as we can, as they assimilate into our culture, is really, really good. All right. Well, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything you want to bring up? Any conversation?
No, I guess just thank you again.
You're welcome. Tomorrow we'll be continuing with the sutra, and next week, not this Monday, but next week, and for 2 weeks, Geshe La Rampa, who is very high Geshe La Rampa, Jampa Chodro, is going to be giving us teachings on the Lojong. So I sent in WhatsApp earlier this past week the 8 verses of Lojong. So I hope that you can read that. You can print it, read it off of the computer, whatever, and think about it. Maybe take some notes on it so that there is a more of a familiarity with it, so that when Geshe is talking about it, you will understand, what he's doing, what he's saying, and so on. So the 8 verses of Lojong is the mind training. So, and goes together with the sutra, the wheel of meditative concentration. So you see, all this is all coming together. So, so I hope everybody can attend Geshe La's talk. It will be very, very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, y'all. Thank you. I'll see you next time tomorrow evening. Have a
Thanks,
great
man.
day.
Bye, everybody.
Sure, bye bye.
Thank you, Lance.